Hey yo, welcome back IB International Economics students to this video lecture. Today I'm going to go over how to illustrate protectionist tariffs. Okay, so we have talked about how to illustrate international trade and how to illustrate the benefits and the relationship between trade between two countries when we take advantage of comparative and absolute advantages. So in this video, I'm going to be going over what protectionist tariffs look like when it is grafted onto an imported economy. So protectionist tariffs only affect importing countries, obviously because exporting countries do not actually affect receive the effects of protectionist tariffs. So let's give a definition of what a protectionist tariff is right off the bat. So a protectionist tariff is something like import taxes on foreign goods to protect domestic producers. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to give an example of Canadian apple markets. Okay, for example, Canadians may be importing apples from the international market. And this graph right here is what I have done in the previous video. So if you have questions, please go back and see why the Canadian importing apple market looks something like this. In quick terms, this is Canadian domestic demand. This is Canadian domestic supply. However, with the world supply right here being a horizontal line, because world supply is perfectly elastic, so therefore it's a horizontal line. The price of apples gets cut down from the free market equilibrium down to this to this point, and then the difference between quantity demand and quantity supplied with the international market is actually the quantity of apples imported. Now, without international trade, the difference between QD and QS would be surplus of demand. However, with international trade, instead of being surplus of demand, it's going to be the quantity of imported apples. Now, so we have established that SW, this blue line right here, is the world supply of apples, that of which is being imported into the Canadian market. Now, what does a protectionist tariff look like with this graph? So what we do is we add exactly the same line, but just shifted upwards, which is world supply plus tax. Okay, world supply plus tariff, and that will give us the intersection between SCA and then DCA, okay? Domestic supply of Canada and domestic demand of Canada. And these two intersections will draw down, and then we're going to link it to the x-axis, which will be the demand, and that will give us QD1 and QS1. So this is the quantity demand and quantity supplied after a protectionist tariff is enacted. Now, that will be this. Now, this box right here between QD1 and QS1 is now the new imported quantity of apples. And obviously, as you can see, the protectionist tariff have worked. The quantity of apples imported has decreased from the difference between QD to QS to now the difference between QD1 and QS1. So there's a great decrease in the quantity of apples imported. Now, what is the effect on imports? Okay, the effect of imports is that the quantity decreases. Okay, the quantity decreases because the government wants to protect domestic workers, domestic apple producers, so they decrease the quantity of foreign apples being entered into the market. So what's the effect on domestic producers? They produce more. Okay, they produce more. They produce more because it's more economical and because it makes more sense for them to produce at such a higher price, okay? Because foreign apples are now more expensive. That makes domestic apples more appealing right now. So the effect on government is that they receive income. I want this to be they receive income from the tariff. So they receive income from the tariff, and that, of course, is a welfare gain. It could be used in public works. It could be used in government spending and stimulus or whatever. So what's the effect of this on foreign producers? They lose market share and exporting power in the Canadian market. Okay. So it's a net lose for foreign producers. Now that we have the graph and we have the stakeholders explained, what does it look like? Okay, so this triangle right here, this is the consumer surplus after tax. So of course, previously consumer surplus is this whole thing. However, with the tax, consumer surplus has decreased, obviously because of the increased supply of apples in the market. Okay. Producer surplus has also decreased. Okay, has actually increased. Previously, before this tariff is enacted, producer surplus is only this tiny triangle. However, with this tariff, producer surplus has increased to that line right there. Now, where foreign product revenue. So originally, before this tariff is enacted, this entire box between QS, QD, and this entire box, this entire rectangle right here is foreign revenue. Okay, it's foreign revenue. However, with the tax, foreign revenue has now decreased between these two lines. Government revenue is this box right here between the difference of SW plus tax and SW. Okay, so that's the government revenue. Now, as we have seen from comparative and absolute advantages, putting tariffs and protectionist policies actually has a net harm because of total welfare loss. Now, total welfare loss is going to be represented through these two black triangles. So these two black triangles represents total welfare loss as a result of this protectionist tariff. So in total, this is what it looks like. This is what each stakeholder has, and this is what each stakeholder has in the illustration of the protectionist tariff. So I hope this video is helpful, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.